ओके सो गुड आफ्टरनून एवरीवन। आज की जो क्लास होगी ना सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट है इस दुनिया में, ट्रस्ट मी, बिकॉज इन टूडेज क्लास वी विल अंडरस्टैंड हाउ सोशियोलॉजी केम इनटू दिस वर्ल्ड। ओके एंड we have covered three major events. Okay, one was Renaissance, second was scientific revolution, then French Revolution, Enlightenment, Industrial Revolution. Also, we have covered. We have covered five major events. The last event is left, which is Counter-Enlightenment, and then subsequently we will understand sociology. Okay, so to sum it all up in one flowchart, whatever we have read so far, okay, we will simply make one diagram and summarize everything. We started with medieval age, (1200 AD). Then we discussed major events in the last three classes, and we would call all those major events as intellectual forces or currents. What are those intellectual forces? First, Renaissance. Second, scientific revolution. Third, Enlightenment. Fourth, French Revolution. Fifth, okay, we will also write Industrial Revolution here. Now only one is left, sixth. Okay, but one thing we already know before we start talking about sixth one, we already know one thing about these five. What was that one thing? These five have given us the idea of modernity, something that I will talk about today. Okay, these five have given us the idea of modernity. So let me first write down what do we mean by modernity, then I'll subsequently explain everything. Okay, overall these five have given us the idea of modernity. For example, Renaissance has given us two most important things. What were those? Humanism, secularism, individualism also. Okay, and all these three things we take for granted today. When we say that we are living in modern world, that means we are living in a secular world. We are living in a world which is more focused or interested towards taking care of the fundamental rights of individuals. Okay, so of course they part form of modernity, what we call as being modern. Being modern means being secular, being individual, okay, your own identity. So secularism and individualism, okay, we got from Renaissance, forming part of modernity. Cool, आओ, कोई दिक्कत नहीं, आओ. Scientific revolution, what has it given us? Reason, logic, and laws of natural world. It has given us Newton, Galileo Galilei, Kepler. Okay, it has given us laws of natural world. The laws that we take for granted today. We keep talking about law of motion, law of gravitation, gift of all these people. Okay, so they have given us laws of natural world. Acha, the question is, why am I calling laws of natural world a part of modernity? In modern world, we explain every phenomena. For example, have you heard of Bermuda Triangle? Sounds very mysterious, right? But till date, scientists explain it through laws only. They don't say, no, there is some spirit. Do they say it like this? No. There was a point of time, today the world is going through a pandemic. And we have scientific explanation for pandemic. We talk about DNA, RNA, पता नहीं क्या क्या होता है, ठीक है? म्यूटेशन, पता नहीं और कितने परम्यूटेशन उसमें, XE, XE2, प्रोमैक्स, पता नहीं क्या क्या हो जाता है कोविड का भी. बट देयर वाज अ पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम व्हेन एपिडेमिक और पैंडेमिक्स वर नॉट एक्सप्लेन्ड लाइक दिस, लाइक DNA, RNA. They were explained as disease. And this disease, you are going through this disease because you have committed some sin. Anger of God. Anger of God, something like this. So a Baba would be invited, okay, and he would do some jhadu or something like this, and then he would automatically heal. Okay, so now we explain everything through laws, through science, through logic, through rationality. That is why it is part of modernity. Other than law of natural world, I would say basically what this implies is nothing but reason or logic. Being modern means being logical, being rational. Okay. What enlightenment has given us? Give me two things only. I told you enlightenment was not about music, drama, literature. It was about politics and economy. So what exactly in politics and economy? Democracy and free market economy. Simple. Laissez-faire. Okay. So the idea of, I won't say democracy, but let me put it like this, republic. The idea of republic, although it has given us democratic ideals, okay, but it took very long time for democracy to get established. So republic, democratic ideals. Ideals का मतलब क्या हुआ यहाँ पर? Ideals like liberty, equality, fraternity, and even secularism was reinforced by enlightenment. Okay. And other than these things, these are political. Okay. Other than these things, what enlightenment gave us? Laissez-faire, the idea of laissez-faire free market economy. Adam Smith. Okay. Gender equality. Mary Wollstonecraft. So being modern means paying equal respect to every gender, whether it is second gender, third gender, or first gender. Okay. Gender are also not two, multiple genders. Okay. So gender equality comes under equality idea per se, and then I would one more thing that I would write here would be a free market economy, which we today call as liberalism. Generally it is called as liberalism in newspapers, by journalists, by economists. They don't call it free market, they call it liberalism. How liberal your economy is, in the sense how liberal it is towards private sector. There is an index called as ease of doing business index. Okay, so we often read about it, although it is no longer there, it has been discontinued. But when ease of doing business index was launched for the first time, it was clear-cut indicator of how liberal one government is in comparison to another government. So India used to stand at very low ranks in those times. Okay, which means India is not so liberal as this country. Okay, so this index used to make India somehow feel backward, and then they used to cut down on their tariffs and make entry easier for FDI, so that no, you also come, we really want to top this index. Okay, something like this, ultimately benefiting the business people. Okay, anyhow, so this is what I wanted to explain, that these two ideas are given by Enlightenment people. Okay, and how did they come up with these ideas? Only through logic and reason applied to the governance and economy. Understood? French Revolution. What has it given to us? Same thing only, right? Same thing reinforced, because the idea of Enlightenment was to change the system. After changing, the system was changed only with the help of French Revolution. Okay, so I would club them together. Okay, Industrial Revolution has given us industrialization, right? Urbanization, industrialization. It has given all of us multiple choices. Okay, you want to go for shopping, you can choose one out of millions. Okay, it has given us so much choices. Okay, it has given us affordability, accessibility. You can now do online shopping as well. Okay, urbanization, industrialization, capitalism basically. Okay, all these things. So when you talk about being modern, you say it's all about being industrial, being urban, being pro market, or being democratic, being liberal, reasonable, logical, secular, individual. This is what being modern is, right? This is what being human is, basically. Okay. So this was all about it. Now the question is, all these things were not welcome so easily. Okay, there was resistance. There was a resistance. Now I'll talk about what happened when these things came into this world for the first time. When modernity came to this world for the first time, when modernity was taking birth initially for the first time, how did people react to modernity? Okay, which kind of people give that reaction to modernity is something that I will explain now. Okay, so what I will do is I will erase this. And what was supposed to come here, because we are we don't have any space here anymore, so I'll do in this direction now. Okay, when French Revolution happened, when Renaissance happened, French Revolution happened, Enlightenment happened, Industrial Revolution happened, when all these things happened, one fine day, a few individuals who were part of monarchical setup, who were part of feudal setup, okay, landlord base, all those things, they resisted these changes. Okay, and this resistance took the shape of what we call as Counter-Enlightenment. Okay, so the sixth current that I wanted to talk about actually followed modernity. That means came after modernity. Okay, with 5 currents, modernity came. With modernity came 6th current. The name of 6th current is Counter-Enlightenment. And when I say Counter-Enlightenment, it does not mean only countering Enlightenment. It also means countering French Revolution, countering Industrial Revolution, countering Renaissance, countering everything, countering modernity basically. Okay. Now, what did these people say? They said French Revolution led to execution of millions of people, reign of terror, right? King and his family lost their lives. This was the first time in our life that we saw execution at this scale. Is this the kind of change that you really want to go with? If right at the beginning we are seeing this destruction, what is going to happen after 100 years? We are wondering. This is what they were thinking. So they said, no, we don't want this so-called republic, democracy, equality. We don't know where it is going to lead us to. If this is the beginning, right at the beginning you are killing kings, what will happen to ordinary masses one day? Okay. So they said, we are against this so-called French Revolution, Enlightenment, all those nonsense things. And our names are Louis de Bonald, Joseph de Maistre, Auguste Comte. Okay, he is a very important person. Emil Durkheim, second important person. Okay, I'll talk about these four only for the time being. These four did not like French Revolution. Okay, bit surprising that Emil Durkheim is also one of them. But when you come to know the reason, then you would say, no, he's completely right. Okay. Well, what do they have to say on so-called modernity? They are saying that this modernity has led to, first, bad working conditions, of the masses, Industrial Revolution, remember? It has led to bad working conditions of the masses. Okay, so I'll write Karl Marx also here. Second, it has led to church state discord. Church state discord means a link between church and state was there for a very long time. Church used to operate the state. Now the link has been broken, and that is why we are seeing so many executions. So they are not happy with this discord, so-called what we call as secularism. They are not happy with secularism because secularism has given us only death of millions. King executed, priest executed, everyone executed in the name of being rational. Okay. Church-state discord. Okay. Third, industrial strikes. Fourth, anti-Semitism. Industrial strikes are also the product of modernity only. Okay. हाँ वो सब कुछ है, सब धीरे धीरे बताऊंगा, अभी तो ब्रीफली एक बता रहा हूँ, छोटा सा आइडिया, ठीक है, बता रहा हूँ, सेमाइटिज्म ना, बताता हूँ. Industrial strike is like workers protesting in the factory. Like for example, last year in Karnataka, Wisconsin facility, okay, Apple workers staged a protest against Apple. Okay, so imagine industrial revolution happening for the first time, the kind of scale of the strike, millions of workers staging a protest against businessmen, that where are our houses? We have come here from rural areas. There is no house, no medical facility, nothing, no social security, no law to take care of our concerns, no so-called grievance redressal body in your organization. Okay, only machine, and we have to operate on machine. We can't even take leaves. So ultimately they put up a strike. So it was complete chaos going on parallelly. Okay, in Britain, strikes were going on. In France, kings were executed. Whole Europe was going through chaotic period. Understanding my point? Okay. Now, what is anti-Semitism? If you remember, in Europe, there was hatred for a specific community, Jews. Okay. Why? Jews were very wealthy people. Okay. And since they were wealthy, and most of them used to earn money through usury. Usury means you lend money to someone and you start earning money through the interest which that man is going to give you. And this usury business, making money by lending someone, was not regarded as very good business in Bible. According, I see, priestly class used to say that usury is not a good thing. Okay, it is a sin. And Jews, according to them, were committing sin. But by the time Industrial Revolution had happened, Jews had already become very wealthy. Okay, because to establish industry, you need capital. These people were giving loans, Jews. Ultimately, in Europe, a sentiment had prevailed that these people are outsiders, giving us money, earning money on it. We are, who are the original inhabitants, we are completely excluded. Let us kill these Jews people. Okay, Jews are not the original inhabitant of this land. They have complete different kind of belief system, complete different kind of working style, lifestyle, business, very different. And if you remember Hitler, okay, Hitler was also very much against these people. So anti-Semitism had already started, had started to begin right at this point. Okay, when Jews had started, becoming wealthy. So not everyone really liked Jews becoming wealthy. Okay, they thought they are outsiders coming here making wealth, and we are the original inhabitants. We are not making wealth. Let us kill them. Okay, Durkheim, Auguste Comte, De Maistre, Bonnat are not really happy with these conditions. What is going on in Europe? For a very long time, when we had church system, everything was chill. No execution, no protest, no strike, no anti-Semitism, no against priestly class, nothing. Everything was peaceful, harmonious. सब बढ़िया चल रहा था लाइफ में. ओके, जब तक चर्च था. ओके. सेमिटिज्म बेसिकली क्या है? ये जो ज्यूज की जो बिलीफ है उसको सेमिटिक बोलते हैं. ठीक है, उस रिप्रेजेंटेशन है जियोनिस्ट, सेमिटिक, ये रिप्रेजेंटेशन का है बस. ठीक है, एटिमोलॉजी पे मत ही जाओ. वन मोर थिंग विच इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट हियर, these people also said, okay, these people also said that, since we are going through this much of problems, let us return to previous era. That means back to pre-enlightenment era. Okay, because enlightenment has given us these things. Chaos. In enlightenment, French Revolution, Industrial Revolution has given us nothing but chaos only. Let us go back to pre-enlightenment era. वापस से साइकिल चलाते हैं. ठीक है? Okay. So this was counter-enlightenment. Okay. Understood my point? Now, how to go back to previous era? This is a very big question. How to go back to previous era? First person, Auguste Comte. What does he have to say on going back to previous era? In fact, even before Auguste Comte, I would write D. Bonnard and Joseph D. Meister. That would be better. Louis D. Bonnard and Joseph D. Meister. What are they saying on seeing such conditions? They are saying Enlightenment has disrupted the social order of Europe. As simple as that. Okay. Enlightenment, French Revolution and Industrial Revolution have disrupted the social order of Europe. Social order means, like for example, all of you are sitting here and I'm standing here. This is what is creating social order in the classroom. Now imagine all of you are standing and I'm sitting. Okay, now you would feel chaotic now. So this status quo which we have maintained is maintaining the social order. The moment everything is reversed, social order would not be the same one. Okay. So when Enlightenment revolutions happened, order got disrupted. Okay. And therefore these people said, let us revive monarchy. क्या बात है? Patriarchy. So they were not supporter of women's rights also. They did not like women writing about their rights. Okay. And resisting the voice of men back in the house. Okay. So they said, let us revive monarchy, patriarchy, feudal system. State system. This is what they believed. वापस सब कुछ ले आते हैं. हम आगे बढ़ के देख चुके हैं, आगे कुआं है, पीछे चलो. ठीक है. So this was D. Bonnard and D. Meister. Okay. The question is, how do we go back? Like for example, if you are 20-year-old, can you go back to the 10-year-old wala stage? No, you cannot. Okay. ना बस ये बोल दिया कि चलो पीछे वापस, जैसे आगे हैं वैसे पीछे भी जा सकते हैं. हटा दो इंडस्ट्री, वापस ले आओ किंग को. ठीक है, ऐसा कुछ. Now second is Auguste Comte. Auguste Comte. He also hated Enlightenment. Okay. French Revolution, Industrial Revolution. He never liked these things. Why? Because all these things disturbed the social order. Now remember, just giving you one hint. All these are French people. D. Bonnard, D. Meister, Auguste Comte. The third would be Emil Durkheim. Okay, all these are Frenchmen. Now Frenchmen are crying over one thing only: order disturbed, order disturbed, order disturbed. One thing, just you remember this one line. Okay, because I'll come back to this. Because in this one line, the birth of sociology is there. Okay. Auguste Comte. He said, this line repeated, first of all. Okay. This line repeated. One is repeated. Second, what is he saying? Now he is trying to understand the cause of social disorder. The cause. What is the cause? See, at surface it seems the cause is Industrial Revolution, French Revolution, Enlightenment, all those things. But he is saying the real cause even behind all these revolutions and enlightenment is change in thinking. Okay, all of us have started thinking in a very different fashion. Okay, that is why we have industry now. See, you can't have industry before thinking of industry. First you think of some factory, then there is factory. First you think of a rule without king, then you have secularism. First you think of everyone having equal right, then you have democracy. So first you think, then you have democracy. First you think, then you have laissez-faire economy. First you think, then you have secularism. First you think, then you have democracy. The problem is in thinking. The cause of disorder is thinking. Okay. Okay. Now, I would say, Auguste Comte would say that the real cause of disorder is intellectual. Intellectual. And he called it intellectual disorder. Okay. Intellectual disorder. Why did he call this intellectual disorder? Because some people supported Enlightenment, French Revolution. There is some other section which did not support Enlightenment and French Revolution. For a very long time, everyone had supported, monarchy. But here, not everyone is supporting republic. Some are in support of republic, some are again in support of monarchy. So you see fragments, not unified agreement, the way we had for monarchy for 1200 years. After 1200 years, we don't see unified agreement amongst everyone. One section supporting it, some section not supporting it. So this is intellectual disorder. Okay. So the real cause of disorder is intellectual disorder. Okay. And he further broke this word down and he said, only. The third point that he said was, the moment scientific thinking prevails all over Europe, there would be no disorder. Very important line. See, what was the cause of, first you just write this line. The moment scientific thinking prevails all over Europe, there would be no disorder. ये बड़ा बारीक है, इसको समझना बड़ा जरूरी होएगा आपके लिए, ठीक है? यही वो मूवमेंट है जहां पे कंफ्यूजन शुरू होती है. ओके. The moment scientific thinking prevails all over Europe, there would be no disorder. Now the issue was, scientific thinking did not prevail all over Europe, as I just told you. Some people resisted, some people supported, right? The people who resisted modernity were those who were in support of religious world. The people who supported modernity were those who were in support of secular world. That means scientific thinking is not there all over the world or all over the Europe. Some people are still living or thinking in religious fashion. Some are thinking in scientific fashion. This is what is leading to disorder. The moment everyone starts thinking in scientific fashion, there would be no disorder. See, आपको अभी का इंडिया वाला एग्जांपल देता हूँ. नहीं तो बहुत गंदी फील आएगी इस टाइम, मुझे पता है ये वाले जोन में कहाँ हम पहुँचते हैं. ऐसा समझो, सिंपल सी बात है. When COVID hit India for the first time, what was our reaction? We imposed lockdown. हाँ, क्या कह रहे हो? So we imposed lockdown. So lockdown was a scientific measure or not? Many think, see, scientific thinking must have gone into the making of lockdown thing. Okay. This would curtail the spread of virus. This was the logic. Okay, so we imposed lockdown without thinking of lives of many poor people. Okay, what was more important was, safety from virus. Okay, now, but the fact is, when lockdown was imposed, after lockdown, what happened? We were sitting at home. Completely, we were sitting at home. Okay, and every day we were calculating how many people have today contracted coronavirus. Meter was going on every day. How many deaths? How many people have contracted? So all of us had calculator. Okay, every website had this calculator. Suddenly one day we saw spike. Today 10,000 cases reported. Okay, we saw a spike, and then media came up with the report that one Zomato driver, okay, intentionally spit into the food. Okay, that Zomato driver belongs to this religion. Okay, and then next day, other religious people started blaming this religious group for spreading coronavirus. Now this led to chaos, disorder. Okay. Now, they started blaming this group, and the solution they gave was, if you want to get free of coronavirus, what is the solution? You can drink Gaumutra. Okay. See, this was a solution. The problem was there. I'm not saying everyone is speaking like this. I'm talking about one section only. No, to create trouble, one section is enough. Okay. So one section was speaking like this, blaming the other section. So this shows disorder in society. And this kind of disorder can happen only when you do not have scientific thinking. Okay. When you are still in religious world. So Auguste Comte becomes relevant in cases of disorders and chaos. He would explain you why disorder is happening, because some people are still in religious world, some are thinking scientifically. Either all of you start thinking religiously, or either all of you start thinking scientifically, then there would be no disorder. Okay, during monarchy times there was no disorder, right? Because everyone had accepted king as the legit authority, no issue. Everyone had accepted Gaumutra or something like this as legit solution, no issue. Today you would see disorder because some would say, "Arey, pagal ho, tum backward ho, illiterate." Some would say, "Arey, I am not illiterate, you are illiterate. You do not believe me." Okay, chaos, conflict. The issue is mindset. Not everyone is thinking in a similar fashion. This is what he is saying. The moment scientific thinking prevails all over the world, there would be no disorder. As simple as that. Okay. Now, the last person. Huh? He is against modernity. Because disorder is created by modernity. He is against enlightenment. That is why he is part of Counter-Enlightenment. Enlightenment is responsible for giving us modernity. He is against the same enlightenment. क्या हो गया? नहीं, देखो ऐसा समझो कि इनलाइटनमेंट, फ्रेंच रेवोल्यूशन, इंडस्ट्रियल रेवोल्यूशन, इन तीनों ने हमें डिसऑर्डर दिया. ठीक है, ऑल दीज थ्री क्रिएटेड डिसऑर्डर इन द यूरोप, and he is specifically against these three because it created disorder. Okay, now since he believes that not everyone accepts scientific thinking and not everyone is speaking scientifically, disorder would continue to exist. Okay, and the only solution is either all of you start thinking scientifically or all of you start thinking religiously. So he's analyzing it, like a scientist, going into micro details of how we are thinking. So this much he's saying only. nothing else. Okay. But then he also gave some laws also, which I will describe later on after this. Okay. Then it will be much more clear to you. Okay. So the next thing which I want to discuss is, yeah.
We call him the father of sociology because he's very
So that is what I am going to explain. Na? See, sociology is not just about celebrating modernity. Sociology is equally about the problems created by modernity. Okay. So I'll come to that last section. Before that, let me talk about Emil Durkheim. Emil Durkheim is saying very important thing. He says, just think like this. There was a world in which a peasant was busy cultivating his crop. King was ruling, he had no issue with it. Some feudal lords would come, he would give 10% of his produce to feudal lord without any complaint. And if you asked him, what do you want to become? He would say, what do you want to become? I'm already peasant. Are you blind? So he had no ambition. He was happy with rule of king. Okay. Today, since we are living in a modern age, all of us have ambitions. All of us want to become something. All of us do not necessarily accept the present regime as good. We can also change it. We can also criticize it. We can write about it in newspaper, social media. And our aspirations, ambitions are not static. It keeps changing. And if we do not achieve what we really aspired for, we may even take our own lives, suicide. Emil Durkheim said that modernity or modern industrial society has given us high number of suicides. Okay. See, people never used to commit suicide. Today, every year you see in IITs, IIMs, all these institutions, even other institutions also, you would see many students commit suicide. Every month, 36 students committing suicide. Okay. Because of aspirations. Aspiration at very local level in the class itself, not outside the class. Aspiration is to get A grade. Or aspiration is to get job in Facebook, Microsoft. Okay. But Infosys is coming in. Okay. And this man is rejected by Facebook. Infosys is taking him. And his friends have gone to Facebook. Now he wants to commit suicide. Okay. That all those 4 years I studied for Facebook, and this is what Facebook is doing to me. Okay. Committing suicide. Because of a gap in the aspirations and what he has in his head. This is what modernity has done. High number of suicide, and Durkheim is highly concerned about it. And ultimately Durkheim writes, Enlightenment, French Revolution, and Industrial Revolution have weakened the social order, the same thing, and made all of us individualistic. Now I'll explain the meaning of individualistic. Okay. Self-centric. Yes. Okay. What is the main thing that Durkheim is trying to say here? Okay. Which social order he is talking about is getting weakened? No, with the Enlightenment, with modernity, tradition, religion, customs are no longer important. Tradition, religion, customs, family, all these things. What is important? I am important. My wish. No, I want to do this. No, please don't stop me. Okay. So I as an individual want to have this in my life. I as an individual want to marry this person. No, you don't tell me who should I get married to. I have my own life. This kind of sentences, this kind of ideology. Okay, this is also coming with modernity. Okay, so your parents would look for a specific person from your religion, from your caste. You would say no. I will look for that person all by myself. Please don't go for searching for that particular person. If I don't like that person, I am not going to marry her or him. I. Always it's about me, my choice. Okay. So, what is happening is that the kind of hold religion, caste, customs, family had over individual, that hold is getting weakened. Okay. Say why? Because of we have rights. I have right to speak it. No, I would say Article 14, Article 19, Article 21. I. Okay. So the we feeling is getting weakened. I feeling is getting stronger. This is what Durkheim is more concerned with. Okay. And when he says disorder, it simply means moral fabric has weakened. Moral fabric has weakened. Okay. And this has led to increased suicide rate. He is one of the sociologists who has spoken about suicide. I'll discuss it some other day. Okay, but just to give you brief idea, he is main concerned with high number of suicides. Okay, suicide would happen only for one reason, no? Although there may be multiple reasons. If you go into the mind of that individual who committed suicide, there can be multiple reasons, but suicide is a structural issue. Structural issue in the sense something is wrong within society, not in the mind of that individual. Something is wrong within society that every year this particular number of suicides are taking place. It is structural issue. Something is wrong in the infrastructure itself. Okay. What is that thing which is wrong? Like for example, you call mechanic to your house. Okay. Then he would say something is wrong with the construction of this wall. That is why you see a leak. Okay, it is not, the problem is not with the tap water, it is something with the construction. So you would have to do it once again. So he has investigated it scientifically. So Durkheim is scientist of society, investigating the bigger, major cause, the underlying cause of suicide. Weakening social order and individualism coming up with this. Okay. चलो उस पे तो अभी नहीं जाएंगे, फिलहाल के लिए इतना ही करूंगा मैं. Let me now discuss the last thing, the final thing with you guys. The last person which I wanted to talk about was Karl Marx. Okay. In Counter-Enlightenment, I have written Karl Marx also. Okay. The last person. Part of Counter-Enlightenment only. Okay. Karl Marx is a critique of Enlightenment, although he is also inspired by Enlightenment. Okay. दोनों चीजें हैं. Now, why is he a critique of Enlightenment? Achha, by the way, as I told you, Counter-Enlightenment means counter everything. Counter Renaissance, counter French Revolution, counter Industrial Revolution, everything. Okay, तो उसमें confuse नहीं होना है. Karl Marx said, what has Industrial Revolution given us? Who is man? How is man different from animal? Thinking man. But more important than thinking is thinking what to do. Okay, every time we think what to do next, that is why we make a next move. Okay, so we think definitely, but our thinking is reflected through the kind of work we do. For example, M.F. Hussain, a painter. His thinking was reflected through his work, painting. Okay. Thinking of any individual would be reflected through his work. So work is not just work. Work is a reflection of you only. Okay. And work is a site through which you express your creativity. How creative you are is known only through the kind of work you have done. Is there any other method to see how creative you are? Okay. The kind of work that, whatever that may be, drawing, notes, anything, construction, painting, dance, composition, movie making. Through these things, we reflect our creativity. Every man in this world, every woman in this world is showing her creative skills through his or her work only. So work is not just work. It is a site through which man or women express their creativity. Understood? Now, what has modernity given us? It has given us space where you can do your work. Okay, factory setup, right? But what is the kind of work those people are doing? That man was very creative enough to do whatever he wanted to back in the village. The moment he comes to urban center, he is making that small nut every day. Okay, cleaning the machine every day. Think of what man can do. He can make aeroplane, he can make aircraft, watch, anything that you can think of. But there is a man every day who is, doing hammering on a nail. Okay. So you see, this is what modernity has given us. A creative man, a man by its birth is very creative. He can do anything. But there is a large section of men or women who are doing a work like this. This is what modernity has given us. Death of creativity. Okay. This is what Marx is saying. So you would see Marx is saying that work which is a site of creativity has been reduced to a site of monotony. You are doing same kind of work every day. At 8 a.m. you come, do hammer. 6 p.m. you go home. Next day 8 a.m. again hammering. Monotonous. Tasks have become monotonous everywhere, not just in the handicraft industry or in any manual setup, everywhere. You become IAS, maybe after 2 years you start become feeling bored. अरे यार वही रोज का है. ओके, फन नहीं है, कुछ ऐसा हो सकता है. यू ज्वाइन माइक्रोसॉफ्ट, फेसबुक, अरे यार वही रोज का कोडिंग भाई. Monotonous. Man is very creative by birth, but when the moment he today in the modern era, the kind of work he's doing, that work is killing the creative man and reproducing the monotonous man. This is what Marx is saying. Okay, do you agree with Marx? हाँ, तो अभी तो चॉइस ही नहीं करना पड़ेगा अग्री, क्योंकि पढ़ना है उसको हमने. ठीक है. So this is what Marx is saying, that modernity or enlightenment has killed the basic expression of human being. Which is creativity. This is what he's saying. Okay. He's basically talking on behalf of masses. He's not talking about businessmen. Okay, businessmen are creative, but masses are no longer creative. Masses are dependent on businessmen. Okay. So, the second thing which he has said is work through which men became craftsmen is fragmented today. Fragmented today into different parts. Work through which men became craftsmen is fragmented today into different parts. You are not working to make the one thing as a whole. That one thing is broken into multiple pieces. Okay, one man is making nut, second man is making dial, third man is making numbers, fourth man is putting on that something like this, fifth man is putting stripes, and basically no one man is creating the watch. Earlier we had craftsmanship, masterpiece. This is what we used to call as. Today there is no master, no craftsman. What do we have? Monotonous workers and machines. Workers deprived of their creativity, they just know 3 buttons. They will push 1, 2, 3, coffee is out. Earlier we had baristas. Baristas means the people who knew the craft of making coffee. Okay, they would make handmade coffee. So today we have machines. 1, 2, 3, coffee is out. Latte, cappuccino. Okay, so creativity is over. He just have to press 3 buttons. No craftsmanship. This is what modernity has given us. Okay. So today the barista men do not know how to make coffee. He just know how to press 1, 2, 3. Okay, coffee is already known. Only machine knows how to make coffee, basically. Okay, this is what I'm trying to say. So this is what Karl Marx is. Now this was Counter-Enlightenment. Okay. Now let me talk about the last thing, birth of sociology. We have read almost everything now. The only thing left is the birth of sociology, how sociology came into existence. Okay, so the topic would be birth of sociology. Or the origin of sociology. Okay. Yes.
In the flowchart, birth of sociology will come after counter.
Right. Which flowchart?
Summary of entire thing.
Acha. In the flowchart, birth of sociology would come after modernity. After modernity came Counter-Enlightenment. Now you would write. Let me make the flowchart once again. Okay, so that things get easier. Okay. What is the kind of flowchart that we are going to make? This is going to be the final flowchart. Okay. Refer this flowchart. You can easily revise everything, whatever you have read so far. Now I'll make small size one ताकि सब कुछ आ जाए इधर. Middle age, then intellectual currents, modernity, did I talk about modernity? After modernity, we are going to write Counter-Enlightenment, right? In Counter-Enlightenment, we saw 4 people. D. Bonald, D. Meister. 5. August Comte, Durkheim and Karl Marx. Basically 5, yes. Okay, D. Bonald, D. Meister are like brothers only. Okay. So we saw 5 people. Okay. 4 French and 1 German. Right? Karl Marx is German. Now, these 4 people would be divided into 2 subparts. Okay. D. Bonald, D. Meister. Second, Auguste Comte, Durkheim. These are Frenchmen. Now comes German men, Marx. Okay, I would write Marx only. I don't want to write Friedrich Nietzsche and Weber, all those people. We'll stick to Marx only. Okay. These are Frenchmen and all of them are conservative or liberals. They appreciate modernity. Conservative. What is the meaning of conservatism now? Okay, let me write. They are conservatives. Did they like the change? No, they did not like the change. So that is why they are conservative. They did not like the change. Anyone who do not support the change is conservative. Being conservative means being status quoist. Status quo means system maintained as it is. So they just wanted to maintain the same old back system because the new system has given them executions and disruption, chaos. So they are conservative. They do not like the change. Okay. This Marx is not just conservative, he is very radical. Okay. Why he is radical is something that you will come to know eventually. But just to give you one small hint, he believed that solution to the problems of modern times is not reform. Today we talk about reforms every time. Whenever we see any administrative fallout, we talk about reforms in the system, reform in the governance, reform in the police, reform in judiciary. This man is not talking about reforms. He's talking about revolution. Revolution means change the system altogether. पूरा सिस्टम ही बदल दो. सिस्टम बदल दो का मतलब क्या हुआ? Think like this. Just think like this. Today we know that we are living in a world where there are few businessmen, multiple people dependent on those businessmen for jobs, multiple politicians dependent on those businessmen for election funding, right? Multiple people, multiple nations are dependent for their growth on these few businesses. Multiple media houses are dependent on these businessmen, right? For their funding. Sponsor, marketing, this is how the world runs, right? Marketing is not just marketing the product, it is also giving employment to many people. Okay. World is run by businessmen. In simple language, if I were to say it, okay. And he's saying change the world. Let workers rule the world. Okay. So this is not the reform. He's talking about changing the system altogether. Let workers rule the world. Let no one earn the profit. Let everyone have same wealth, same salary. Okay. Let us have equality. This is the very different kind of world we have not really seen anywhere. It is a utopia in his head. That one day when all the workers will kill all the businessmen, only then the change will come. This is why he is radical. He is not talking about reform, he is talking about revolution. Once again, one more revolution which will kill. Earlier, the last revolution killed kings. This revolution will kill capitalists. Okay. That is why he did not call French Revolution the revolution of masses. He called it bourgeois revolution because French Revolution replaced kings by businessmen. Okay. And the last revolution, which he believed would be coming very soon, okay, I don't know when it would come, would be proletarian revolution. Proletarian means workers. Workers will revolt against businessmen. That is the only revolution which is pending now. All revolutions are done. Okay. This is the kind of his belief system. Okay. So therefore, ultimately, what I'm trying to say is we got two kind of groups: conservatives and radicals. Conservatives are those people who did not like the change, also called as status quoist. Radicals, those people who also did not like the present form of structure and proposed a new kind of system. Radical. Okay. So they are not, is Karl Marx status quoist? He wants a new system altogether. He doesn't want, these people want to go back. Okay. Yeah. See, all of them did not like modernity. These people. First one are extreme conservatives, D. Bonald and D. Master. I don't want to go into these details because that is not really required, but we should have all the clarity regarding these things also. Okay. These are the first ones are extreme conservatives. They literally want to go back to monarchy. Durkheim knows, Comte knows, we cannot really go back in the previous days. We can only move forward. So they are not saying let us go back. Okay. What they are simply saying is let us try to find solutions. How to fix this anomaly. How to again come back to the order. Okay. Marx is saying, I know the solution. Solution lies in revolution. Getting my point? This man is suggesting radical solution. Overthrow the capitalist, replace them by workers. Talking about only economy. Why? Because he believed economy governs everything. Once you have control over economy, you have control over politics, media, education, law, state, religion. This is what he believed, Karl Marx. Okay, so ultimately, this conservatism gave birth to structural functionalism, a theory in sociology. Structural functionalism. And this gave birth to Marxism. Two theories you have to remember: structural functionalism, Marxism. Structural functionalism is conservative philosophy, status quoist. Marxism is radical philosophy and proposing new system. यहाँ तक लाइफ सेट है? कोई कंफ्यूजन? Okay. What is the meaning of structural functionalism? सिंपल सी बात है, बड़ी सिंपल सी बात है. These people said all those structures, old structures, monarchy, patriarchy, state system, all those structures were functioning effectively. That is why we had peace, harmony, equilibrium, no disruption, no chaos. That simply means structural functionalists are those who talk about functions of structures, and when structures are functioning, they are functioning to maintain the system. That means when monarchy as a structure we had, when state as a structure we had, when what all do we have other than these two things? Monarchy hai, state hai, aur kya hai? Patriarchy as a structure when we had. All these were functioning. That is why we had complete harmony in system without any, killing of kings and queens and all those things. So structures are maintaining the system. For example, education is a structure. Think like this: education is a structure, law is a structure, family is a structure. State is a structure. Economy is a structure, right? You have to treat them all like structures, just like our human body. Our human body consists of liver, heart, kidney, hands, legs. All different parts of our human body have certain functions. Through hands, we greet people, we eat food. Through legs, we walk. Every part has different function. Through mouth, we speak. Through eyes, we see. Right? Similarly, in society, every structure would be having some function. Education, the function of education would be? Function of education would be?
Knowledge base.
Yes. Function of education would be?
Make people aware of things. Know what's
Function of education would be? Yes. Function of education would be, to speak in a very simple language, all of you, whatever you have said is completely right. Function of education is to give employment. Okay. Function of education is to create opportunities. Function of education is to create business, to help in contribution of development, GDP, all those things, to put it very simply. Okay. But function of education is also to develop spirit of nationalism in all of us. When we all went to school for the first time, we, our teachers told us to make charts of Gandhi, Bhagat Singh, all those, and put it up on the wall. Okay, these are our national heroes. Okay, every day we have to remember this: national hero, national hero, national hero. So by repeating this task, national hero, national symbols, national this, national flag, national all those things, spirit of nationalism develops in us. So the function of education is also to develop spirit of nationalism. When all of us stand together in national, not national, but assembly, in the school assembly, we pray or we sing national anthem for 52 seconds. In those 52 seconds, we are complete. Okay, the spirit of nationalism is induced into us in those 52 seconds. So there is a function of education, there is function of everything in this world. What is the function of law? To maintain order. We always talk about law and order. What is the meaning of order? This is the meaning of order. Discipline. Okay. As simple as that. We often talk about disorder in Naxalite districts. Law is there. Order is not there. Okay. So every structure has some functions. Of course, monarchy had some functions. Priestly class had some functions. State system had some functions. That is why system was maintained. And what was the function of those? State system. State system kept inequality natural. Nobody was made to feel that you are poor. Everybody simply felt that we are destined to be born in third estate, and we have no issue with that. We accept it. So the state system never let you become ambitious. It maintained status quo. Therefore, it maintained harmony, peace. Nobody had aspiration, nobody challenged king. So every structure has functions. Law has function. Okay. So structural functionalists are those people who would talk about society consisting of different structures, each structure having some functions. When all the structures are performing their functions, society is maintained. When all our organs are working, then our human body is maintained. Suppose heart stops working, human body over. Brain stops working, human body over. Hand stops working, at least some of our tasks would be over now. Okay, if not us. So each and every part is crucial in society as well. Okay. So this is what conservativists are called as structural functionalist. They would always talk about, no, 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 please don't change this structure. It is very important. Let it be there. This is what they would always speak like. Okay. So today, suppose, just think like this. If a government comes up with a law in parliament that we should allow marriage between transgenders also. Okay, it is still not allowed till date. Okay, marriage of third gender is not really allowed till date. It is not given legal status. Suppose one day parliament comes up with a bill, there would be a section who would say, no, 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 don't let it be. It is going to disrupt the system. That is why for a very long time marriage has not been approved for those people. Okay, so there is a section which is conservative, which is not letting change come into existence. Okay, but there is a section which is thinking in a particular direction. It believes in liberty, equality. Okay, so the people who are conservatives, they always talk about function of the existing structure. Okay, they do not want to bring in change. As simple as that. Just think like this for the time being. Aage to I'll explain it anyhow. Okay. Now, overall, if I were to talk about this modernity here, I would say modernity has given us progress. It has given us science. It has given us individualism. It has given us capitalism. And many other things. Development, so-called. Okay. And in reaction to all this, we had counter-enlightenment people who were conservatives, some who turned out to be Marxists, radicals. Not everyone appreciated basically these changes. These changes are coming up with certain costs. These people are talking about costs. Okay, these are those people who are always talking about cost of these changes. Just remember this. So we are not going to celebrate modernity. That is why to many people sociology seems like a left-wing agenda. Okay, but that is not the case. You will come to know later on. So what did we learn? That tradition had certain set of issues with it against which enlightenment came. But enlightenment also had its own set of issues with it against which these two philosophies came. And the birth of these two philosophies led to birth of sociology. समझ गए पूरी कहानी? ये थी पूरी कहानी. So if I were to sum it up all in one sentence, I would say modernity came as a solution to the existing problems. Existing problems के नाम बोलो. Tell me the name of the then existing problems. उस time जो existing problems थे. Patriarchy, religion, religious thinking basically, and monarchy. Okay, modernity came as a solution to the then existing problem. To the then लिख देता हूं. उस टाइम का जो existing problem था. ठीक है. You can underline this sentence ताकि आपको याद रहे. However, ब्रैकेट के बाद however, modernity had its own set of issues. Modernity had its own set of issues. Now tell me some of those issues. Inequality, poverty, extreme working conditions. What else? Many. Overcrowdedness, formation of slum, noise pollution, air pollution. What has science given us? If someone asks me, what has science given us? When we talk about progress, science has given us World War. Science has given us World War. When we did not have science, we did not have World War. Okay. Science has given us the idea of development. And therefore, it has created in us a notion, you are underdeveloped, a new form of inequality. Because this development is coming at the cost of displacement of many. Okay, you establish a dam, irrigation project, it would displace millions of tribal people. This is what science has given us. And then we are left with concern about those displaced people. That becomes another program, land acquisition, rehabilitation bill, then again new set of issues. Every time you propose something, it has its own set of issues with it. Science has given us inequality. In whole world, few countries have become superpower. Other countries have become least developed nations. This demarcation, first world, second world, third world, is the gift of science. Only few countries have monopoly or hegemony over defense equipments or secret knowledge, which they are not ready to share with the other countries. This is what science has given us, a new form of inequality. These are a different set of issues which science has given us. Science has given us global warming also, something that we are highly concerned with every day. So this is what science has given us. Science has given us Ukraine-Russia war. Okay. So weapon is the making of science only. Okay. This is what science has given us, the unintended consequence of science. So basically, and if I were to talk about people like Vandana Shiva and all those, they often talk about the kind of seeds that we are talking about these days, high yielding variety seeds, genetically modified seeds. Okay. Yeah, developed through genetic engineering. These are those seeds which are going to deprive our land of the water which is required for sustainable development of the coming generations. We are going to suck out that water if we plant these genetically modified seeds. Okay, something like this. So anyhow, so what I'm trying to say is modernity has its own set of issues, or had its own set of issues. And sociology developed to explain these social issues in a scientific fashion. Sociology developed to explain these social issues in a scientific fashion. I just talked about few social issues with you, which are also the byproduct of modernity. But we often, somehow those issues do not occur to us, that these are also unintentional consequence of modernity only. So some discipline had to be there which could study these things. Everyone was studying political structure, like political scientists. Philosophers were engaged with what happened to God now. The God is dead. We have killed him. How shall we confront ourselves, the murderers of all murderers? Ye hai Nietzsche, concerned with the death of God. Okay. So we need a discipline, we need certain scientists who could enlighten us on the darkness of enlightenment. Samjhe? Did you get this point? Okay.
Structure, functionalism, and Marxism gave birth to sociology.
These two are theoretical paradigms of
That gave
sociology.
birth to sociology.
Yes. हमको इतना ही याद रखना है.
इसके बाद like this will continue and sociology will
Yes.
combine.
Okay. So overall, what we learned that sociology is a child of modernity. It is a child of modernity, which has come into this world to study the problems due to modernity. As simple as that. Okay. ये हो गया. So that is why it was important for me to, explain you all those things, French Industrial Revolution, ताकि finally मैं इस line पे आ सकूं. ठीक है. Although it can be done in one day also, but क्योंकि जिंदगी में हम बार बार तो पढ़ते नहीं ये चीजें, तो I thought let me give you this much of time. So that was all about the birth of sociology. Now we will take 5 minutes break. Yeah.
To define modernity.
Yes. This year it came. We will do previous year questions also. I'll give you just 5 minutes break, then I'll briefly sum it up all before proceeding to the next part. Okay. Because we have done two things so far. One, we have done social changes in Europe. Second, we have done birth of sociology. Now one thing is left, modernity per se, which I'll explain in just few lines. Okay. I have already given you keywords. Now I'll explain few lines. Okay. And uske baad we will do the comparative part, sociology versus psychology, sociology versus philosophy. 5 minutes break. Okay. Let me also see if online students have any doubt. And उसके बाद we will do the पीछे चल रहा होता है तो. Function of education is perpetuation of power structure. Very nice, Aishwarya. This is Marxist stand. Okay. Mehul Chaudhary. Is sir going to complete whole socio optional? Of course, Mehul. Singh. Sir, what is the meaning of status quoist? Shashank simply means someone who do not support change. He only supports whatever is present before us. Okay. For example, very simple example. When sati was abolished, there was a group which did not want sati to get abolished. That group is status quoist. What was that group? Dharma Sabha. Radhakant Dev. He supported. That means he is status quoist. Does not want change. When untouchability was abolished, there were few people who resisted. Status quoist. Why? They would say, no, untouchability was doing a function, let it be there now. When untouchability was there, we had menial workers. We had distance between privileged and non-privileged. There was complete separation. Okay. Status quo was maintained for a very long time. Why are you abolishing untouchability? But then there would be some people who would abolish untouchability. because they are working on the way of logic. All of us are humans. How can you say, can you just by looking at someone call him untouchable? How would you even get to know? It's completely illogical, irrational. So enlightenment has given us Mr. Ambedkar, who abolished untouchability. Okay, at least worked in his attempt to abolish untouchability. But then there was certain section who wanted to maintain untouchability. So people who want to maintain the system as it is, they are status quoist. People who want to change the system, they are not status quoist. Simple, as because I'm not able to recall the opposite of status quoism. What is the opposite of status quoist? Changer, you can say, yeah. To keep it very simple. Meaning of moral fabric. Moral fabric is like something which hold all of us together. For example, in this classroom, there is a moral fabric going on, which you do not really know. You can't see it. What is the moral fabric? Moral fabric is that there is one man standing here, teacher, and we have to sit like students only. No, we can't shout. So you don't know this actually. You are automatically into that operation. Okay, this is a moral fabric which has bound. The moment you start shouting, okay, moral fabric has disrupted. Chaos. Okay, this is what moral fabric is, something that we take for granted. When we talk to our parents, we talk very politely. हाँ मम्मी, हाँ ठीक है, खाना खा लिया पापा, हाँ पापा, पैसे दे दो, ठीक है. So that is a moral fabric. इसको हमने अगर तोड़ दिया, फोन उठाया नहीं, बात ही नहीं करी, तो फिर वो हमें निकाल देंगे. ठीक है, फैमिली टूट गई, अपना रह लो अलग, लिव इन में, सेपरेट कर रख लो, जैसा भी रहना है. ठीक है, मॉरल फैब्रिक टूट गया. The opposite of status quoism is progressivism. Okay, Aishwarya, thank you. Okay, so 5 minutes break अभी ले रहा हूं मैं, then we'll continue. हाँ, तो क्यों नहीं, 5 मिनट ब्रेक तुम्हारे लिए भी है. Okay. Let me go through your questions. Thank you so much, sir. The opposite. Okay. नोट्स कैसे बनाने हैं? हर्ष, आई विल एड्रेस दिस क्वेश्चन ऑल्सो. नोट्स कैसे बनाने हैं वो मैं अभी बता देता हूँ आपको. बस वी आर अबाउट टू फिनिश वन वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट टॉपिक जिसने सर दर्द करके रखा हुआ है 4 दिन से. मेरा भी ये खत्म हो रहा है, उसके बाद लाइफ आसान है. यार इसकी वॉइस, स्टेटस कोविस्ट, स्टेटस कोविस्ट. देखो, there was a point of time, just to give you one more example, there was a point of time when India was about to introduce computers. People resisted it. Nahi. Do you believe this?
Yes.
It is a fact, na? Mulayam Singh Yadav did not want computers to come into India. Why? Why would someone resist computers? It would take away jobs. So that point of time, Mulayam Singh Yadav was speaking like a Marxist person, although he may not be really aware of Marxism, but unconsciously he was being Marxist. Okay. So in all of us there is a little bit of Marxism and functionalism every day. So nobody is really right wing or left wing. Everyone is right or left or even centrist. It all depends on situations. Okay. There was a point of time when even village electrification was resisted and Laltain was promoted. No, let Laltain be there. Laluji. Okay, he did not. So these were status. Now today they accept computer. Today they accept village electrification, but they resist some other things. So status quoism and progressivism is something which is always in conflict with each other. Okay, these things would always be in conflict with each. This is what status quoism is ultimately. Okay. Acha, ab last thing is left, modernity. Although I have dealt with modernity in parts, now I will give it full focus. In 5 minutes, we will finish modernity also. Okay, we have covered 2 things so far. Social changes in Europe. Second, emergence of sociology. Now last thing is left, modernity. Okay. what do we mean by being modern? Okay. Are you a modern man or a woman? Okay, what do we mean by? Putting on Western clothes, jeans, shirt is modern, right now? Speaking in English is modern. It's a change.
अब वही 20 के बाद अब साड़ी पहनने का बढ़ जाए तो वो भी एक मॉडर्निटी
हो सकता है,
क्या
हो सकता है. Indian version of modernity. अच्छा, so modernity has multiple meanings basically. I'm driving Lamborghini in my dreams. Okay. Okay. I am modern, highly modern. But I am not following any red light. Am I modern? No. See, being modern does not mean only consuming modern objects or goods or possessing modern watch, modern smartphones. It is also about following modern values. Okay. I have no respect for weaker sections of society. I am all about concerned about myself only. Material possessions, I need to have this building, that building, this swimming pool, not concerned about poor people. This is not modern. Okay, so modernity, I would say, is an ideology characterized by certain markers. Marker means pointers. There are some points. If those points are there, that means modernity is there. As simple as that. What are those markers of modernity? First, secularism. Secularism is a marker of modernity. If a state is secular, state is modern. Samjhe? It is a marker of modernity. If state is not secular, state is not modern. There are many states which are not secular. Okay. Those would be seen as backward or traditional, not modern states. Okay. So state can also be modern. It is not that we only are modern. State is also has to be modern. Okay. Second marker of modernity. The idea of state itself is a marker of modernity. Nation state, you know. What is nation? What is state? These little bit. No? Let me explain. Before French Revolution, we never had concept of nationalism. Because there was no nation. And what is the meaning of state? State means territory. Fixed territory with map of its own, administrative machinery, bureaucrats, IAS, IPS. These things make state. Okay. A little island somewhere located near Australia is not a state. It may have territory, but it does not have people in that territory. It is isolated island. It is not state. It is an island only, nothing else. Maldives, it is not just island, it is also state. It is territory, definitely, just like any other island, but it has administrative machinery also. People are living there, they are governed by laws. This is what makes it a state. Okay, so the idea of nation state is also a marker of modernity. There are many nations. What is the meaning of nation? I'll explain all these things. Okay. There are many nations which are fighting to become a state. It means there are many communities which want their own territory, which want their own administrative machinery, but they still do not have it. Like for example, Baloch people in Pakistan. They form Balochistan, but Balochistan is not a territory. It is a feeling, it is a sentiment. Khalistan, a stan in their minds only, it does not have any territory. But the people who demand Khalistan, they are nation of their own type. Nation means community which thinks in a similar fashion. All of them want Khalistan. They think in a similar fashion. They dress in a similar fashion. They do similar things. They want statehood also. Statehood means their own territory, which is not being given to them. Kurds, we call them Kurds in Middle East. Okay, they want Kurdistan. So nations are fighting for statehood. But this fight for statehood has its origin in French Revolution. Before French Revolution, there was no concept of state or nation. So what did we have? We had civilizations, empires. We did not have state with defined boundary. समझे कि नहीं समझे हो? समझे? It is not a state yet. It is not given sovereignty. State has to be sovereign, autonomous, with its own territory. Balochistan is only a conception in their mind. Okay. They believe that Balochistan spans from this area till this area, but it is not being recognized as of yet as officially a territory. Okay. Third marker of modernity is capitalism. Capitalism. What is capitalism? Although 50% of sociology is all about capitalism, but to explain you in a very simple language, capitalism is an economic system with machine or capital or industry as means of production. Capitalism is an economic system with machines, land, industry as means of production, working for profit. As simple as that. Acha, how is this a marker of modernity? This capitalism has given us industrialization. Okay, it has given us industrialization. It has given us mass production. It has given us modern education. Printing press is also coming with industrialization only. Printing press has given NCRTs to everyone at 10 rupees, 20 rupees. All of us should be thankful to industrialization or printing press that we can afford NCRT in 20 rupees or 30 rupees. It is produced in mass level. Okay. All of us can read Gita, Mahabharat, Ramayana anytime, all because of industrialization, printing press. Okay. It is a marker of modernity. Okay. So if you are not capitalist, if we do not have capitalist, or if we do not have capitalism, if we have socialism, then we are treated as backward, although the people who belong to socialist state may call themselves no less modern than the capitalist people. I mean, Russia would not call it less backward than America. It is war of almost equal people. Somehow, but America would believe Russians are backward because they don't have democracy. Very important marker of modernity. Okay. I'll come to those debates also. Okay, gradually. But these are the minimum things which should be there in a system. Only then we call it modern system. Otherwise, we do not call it modern system. Okay. Fourth, progress. The idea of progress. See, to be modern means to believe that we can continually surpass what we had before. That means today if I am earning 10 rupees, if I believe I can earn 1 crore, I am modern because I have ambition, aspiration. Modernity has given me this space to fulfill my aspirations because of equality. Everyone has equal opportunity. It's all about your talent. If you can earn 1 crore, do it easily. Nobody is restricting you to become 1 crore pati, na? Everyone is giving you choice, chance, opportunities. Market is open. You want to have startup? Okay, we will support you. Become 1 crore pati. Okay. So everyone has equal chance today. Progress. is a marker of modernity. If a nation state or if individual is not progressing in his life, and progress does not mean only wealth, progress also implies knowledge, it also implies technology, it also implies political arrangement. If our politics is not progressing, if our wealth is not progressing, if our technology is not progressing, that means if we do not have progression, we do not have modernity. Fine? तुम्हें पूछ रहा हूं मैं. फाइन? टेंशन है क्या कुछ? पक्का ना? ठीक है. So next thing, fifth one, देखो कोई टेंशन हो कि मुझे बता देना है, सबसे आगे बैठे हो तुम. ठीक है. नेक्स्ट इज साइंस. Science is a marker of modernity. Science is a marker of modernity. What does it mean? See, gods, goddesses have been replaced by equations. Equations, huh? Yes, inquisitiveness. Yes, that is also part of being modern. Progress, basically. If you are inquisitive, that means you want to progress in life. You would question also. Okay. But scientific and being science, how is science a marker of modernity? Science has replaced gods by equations. That means now we have mastery over our lives and also over our death. We can control death. There was a point of time death could not be controlled. When a man is approaching death, we would pray God. Today also we pray God, but more than praying God, we do some work to enhance the life expectancy of man. Good education, good health and infrastructure, health, all those things. Today we have reached a stage where, we are working on increasing longevity of someone's life. If you have ever heard of this thing called as DNA profiling bill, or right stage, DNA right stage, where we can cut DNA, analyze DNA, and then we can make people like us also clones of humans. This is a kind of stage that we have reached. We can also know the defects in this generation, fix those defects, and if I like someone's eyes, I can borrow it. If I someone's legs, I can borrow it, make a new kind of human made out of someone's eyes, hands, legs, brain. This is a kind of stage we have reached. You could not think like this during French Revolution. Okay, this is what science has given us. It has therefore not only given us mastery over our lives, it has also given us mastery over death. We can control death. There is one scholar who has written this book, Homo Sapiens. Yuval Noah Harari. Yuval Noah Harari, Homo Sapiens. In this book he writes, 400 years back, life expectancy of man was 45 years, something like this. 200 years back, life expectancy of man was 60 something. Today, life expectancy of man is 85 something. 500 years afterward, it would be 100 something. Again, 1000. Yes, gradually man would become immortal, and science is going to help man become new God. Progress. Progress is to such an extent that man is becoming God. We are trying to control over death. We are trying to become immortal now. Sci-fi fiction वही डिपिक्ट करता है बार बार immortality. बैटमैन मरता ही नहीं है, सुपरमैन मरता ही नहीं है. We want to be like that. Okay. Anyhow, so this is what science has given us. Okay, being modern means being logical, being experimental. Okay. What is the sixth marker of modernity? Individualism. Sixth marker of modernity, individualism. Okay. Now, individualism simply means I will choose whom to marry. I will choose which kind of job I am going to pursue. And I will also choose my gender. I will also choose my gender. Gender can also be changed. Sex transplant surgery भी होती है अब तो, ठीक है? This is the life, this is the kind of age we are living in. Okay. It's about me. It's not about tradition. What will people say? I'm no more bothered about what will people say, customs say. Even in the movies, you would see hero, heroine talking like this. अरे समाज क्या कहता है उसे तुम्हें क्या पड़ी है ना देखो, ठीक है? बट समाज क्या कहता है इसकी बहुत पड़ी थी एक टाइम तक. ओके. Religion, tradition and customs had huge control over individuals' lives. Whom to marry, what to do, what kind of painting you can make, what kind of painting you cannot make. Okay, everything was controlled. Today we are modern, means we are individual, we can do whatever we want as long as it is legal. Okay. Individualism is a gift of modernity. Democracy, definitely the last thing I would say. All these are markers of modernity. You cannot be individualist without having democracy. All these support each other. So democracy, individualism, science, progress, capitalism, what else was there? Nation state, secularism, all these things are friends to each other. And when these friends sit together, this community is called as modern community. Understood? So being modern is being all these things. Okay. So this was all about modernity. Now, one question that I would like to pose before you. The modernity has its origin in which part of the world? Europe. This is what we would say. Europe is the birthplace of modernity. Because all these things took their birth in Europe only. If I say Europe is the only place where modernity emerged, Europe is the birthplace of modernity, no doubt. But if I say it is the only place where modernity emerged, that would be a different statement now. Okay, although some may agree, some may not even agree. This is very subjective statement. In social sciences, anyhow, there is no objectivity. Otherwise, there would be no debate if there is objectivity. Okay. See, no issue. Yes, Europe is the birthplace of modernity. But it is never the only place where modernity emerged. Modernity, when you say it is the only place where modernity emerged, if you speak like this, that means the idea of modernity in your head has been colonized by European literature. Okay. That you are not able to experience other versions of modernity, that you have been so much colonized, you are not able to see other versions of modernity. Okay. Understanding? For example, Russia, China, are they not modern? They are. Is China democracy? Still it is modern. I just told you modernity has few markers. If these things are there, it is modern. China does not have democracy. Does China have individualism? Does it give full freedom to individuals to express their rights? No, but still it is modern, you just said. I asked you, is China modern? You said yes. Because of science technology, okay. Any other reason why China is modern? Mass production, industrialization. Does China have capitalism? This is very open-ended and very broad statement, by the way, which I'm asking in form of question. Is China capitalist? Okay, it's a very subjective question, open to debate. Okay, but to sum it up, I would say Chinese model of governance is communist, run by one party, Communist Party of China. Okay, but Chinese model of economy is capitalist, because it does believe in mass production. That is why all of us have made in China goods, because they are very cheap. If there was no mass production, there would have been no affordability to these goods. All of us consume made in China goods. That means there is mass production, which is a marker of modernity. So China is modern to some extent, not modern to some other extent, but it is modern. Russia is modern. India? We have secularism, we have individualism, we have democracy, we believe in science and technology, we believe in progress. We are also modern. Although our modernity would be a bit different from European modernity. I will explain to it. I'll explain those things also, because that is very debatable thing, and these are the things which UPSC also ask. Okay, so I don't want to delve into those questions right now. Okay, but I just want to open your mind to few questions. Okay, that would help you to understand where have we come so far, where would we go now in this world. Okay, so ये तो कहाँ गया पेन अपना यार, ये रहा. Hey, Europe is the birthplace of modernity, but when we say, or if we say that it is the only place where modernity emerged, then we are confusing being modern with being European or being Western. Did you get this statement? इसका मतलब समझे? Okay, we should not say it is the only place. समझ गए? Examples अभी देता हूँ. There is one scholar, S.N. Eisenstadt. Let me write his name, because this statement actually reflects the theme which he has given us. His name is S.N. Eisenstadt. S-T-A-D-T. Online wale, if it is visible to you, I hope. S-N-E-I-S-E-N-S-T-A-D-T. I'll come to your questions also, online wale students. Okay, but let me just finish this topic, then I'll address your question also. Shashank, I've read your question. Who decide whether territory is to be nation or state? Himanshu Moon, sir, commercial revolution was also a... Yeah, but that is not so important, Himanshu, commercial revolution. Otherwise, there are so many revolutions. Romanticism is also there, but those things are not so important for us. I mean, UPSC is not going to ask you questions on commercial revolution. It may ask you on Enlightenment, French Revolution, industrial, but not commercial. So this year I have decided I'll teach only what is being asked by UPSC, nothing else. ठीक है ना ये? मुझे क्या पता भाई, अब अगले साल क्या यूपीएससी पूछ लेगा, फिर तुम बोलोगे ये तो कोई बात नहीं हुई. ठीक है, so I will teach you few extra things also which UPSC may ask. I remember there is a scholar Max Weber. Okay, इस पे अभी आ रहा हूँ मैं. So Max Weber is one of my favorite one. Okay, so I often go into the details of that man's writing. Okay, so I even discuss one of the concept which is one of very favorite ones of mine, that is iron cage of rationality. Okay, so this year UPSC asked it for the first time, so I got very happy. So finally UPSC asked, although it never asked it, I still used to teach it because you never know. Professors are also evolving, you know, they do not really want to copy paste a previous year question and simply, you know, do their job and eat samosa and evaluate and go back home. Okay, they are also evolving, so we also need to keep pace with those people. हाँ, तो एसन आइसन स्टार्ट की बात है ये. बेसिकली दिस मैन हैज गिवन वन कॉन्सेप्ट. द कॉन्सेप्ट इज कॉल्ड एज मल्टीपल मॉडर्निटीज. Multiple modernities. He says, if you believe that Europe is modern, America is modern, please don't let the idea of modern colonize your mind to such an extent that you believe only Europe and America is modern. You would be completely blind to other versions of modernity existing out there in the world. Appreciate those versions of modernity also, because if once you start believing this country is not modern, I am modern, you are not modern, this automatically creates inequality, and this automatically creates a new form of colonialism between the two countries. The idea of who is modern and who is not is going to create another form of colonialism. Okay, so let us not create such hierarchies. Appreciate multiple versions of modernity existing out there, and therefore he has given this concept multiple modernities. Now what is the meaning of multiple modernities? He said, very simple thing. Suppose you go to Himachal. Okay, for the first time in your life, you go to Himachal, Uttarakhand, Jammu, Kashmir. It would take you some days, I guess, or maybe some hours to at least sit back, relax, and then go down into the, you know, streets and explore Jammu, Kashmir. You can't simply just reach Jammu, Kashmir and ready to explore it. You will take some time because you would feel lack of oxygen. Right? That means first you will take some rest, one full day rest in your room, what we call as acclimatization. Okay, you acclimatize yourself with the weather conditions. Next day you go out, early morning, sunrise, photos clicked, Facebook uploaded, likes collected, life is all set. Okay, so this is what we do, but we first get acclimatized gradually, but we start exploring Jammu Kashmir. Similarly, modernity, when it reaches different places, it takes time according to societies, and gradually modernity also acclimatizes itself with the existing nation states. For example, just to give you one example, McDonald's came to India in the year 98 something, 95 something. Okay. Initially, it did not work. Okay. Because people were never used to have burgers. They used to have vada pav or aloo tikkis. So McDonald came up with the idea, Mac aloo tikki. Indianization of modernity. It is modern, but Indianized modern, because it is aloo tikki sandwiched between burgers. So it became successful. So this is Indian version of modernity or not? Right, it is Indian version of modernity. So I'm not saying this is the only Indian version of modernity. Basically, just to give you one small example, because you are not at that stage where I talk about multiple scholars like Yogendra Singh or all those. I don't want to scare you. I just want to make you feel comfortable with the existence of modernity, the idea per se. So multiple modernity means modernities exist in multiple forms, in different regions, in different styles. Okay, Russian, Southeast Asian modernity is very different from South Asian modernity, very different from Western version of modernity. For example, Indonesia. Let me talk about Indonesia. Now, Indonesia is a hub for exports. All the exports that come to this region of the world actually first gets landed in Singapore, and from that that is why it is called as call of port or port of call, something like this. There is a term in human geography, we read about it, port of call. Port of call means a place where all the exports are collected, and from Indonesia then the export is dispatched to India, Sri Lanka, all those. Okay. Now that means Indonesia is developing without having any industry. It is collecting money, it is generating money by exporting, importing only, without industrialization. Its geographical condition does not allow it to industrialize because it is an island, hai na ye. Okay. It may not have those resources required to have industrialization, but does not mean that it is not modern. It will make its way out to achieve modernity. It will collect, import, export, and make way out of this import-export arrangement to become progressive. And this is known as Indonesian version of modernity. Very different from Americans' version or Chinese version of industrialization, very different from India's, but it is still modern, it is still capitalist, it is still evolving, progressive. It still have democracy. Okay. So every country is modern in its own manner. Let us not impose one idea of modernity on other countries, because once you start imposing your idea of modernity on others, then you would no longer be different from those colonialists who imposed colonialism on India or other countries by calling them or making them feel backward. So modernity, let modernity not become new version of colonialism. Appreciate other versions of modernity. This is what S.N. Eisenstadt is saying on multiple modernities. Online people, did you get my point? समझ गए? अच्छा, ये ऑनलाइन में भी लैग होता है थोड़ा, शायद 1 मिनट पीछे चल रहा हूँ ऑनलाइन में मैं. Yes sir, okay, ठीक है. So this was about modernity. We are done with modernity. We are done with emergence of sociology. We are done with social changes in Europe. Now what we are going to do tomorrow, very important day for all of you. ठीक है. First we will discuss previous year question. I will give you few questions. Okay. Don't worry about revision and all those things. Okay, because anyhow you are going to get notes of all these things also. Yesterday I guess just whosoever did not come yesterday might have collected the notes na. ठीक है. Just go through them today once again. Tomorrow I will give you one very important note on this thing, and I'll also give you few questions related to whatever we have read so far, questions from UPSC. Initially I will just see how you are going to write. I will not dictate you that this is how you are going to write. I will let you speak your mind freely. Okay. And then I will try to fix some issues which are very much visible and which, if you correct right away, would turn out to be very better for you. Okay. And gradually I will start telling you how to write. Okay, so initially all of you would write in a very different fashion. Your content may be very different, which is completely fine, but I would work on your structure, how your content should be presented. I would not work on your content. Content should be different, can be different, but structure has to be a specific kind. Okay, so tomorrow we will do previous year questions, and I will give you notes for this topic also. Okay, and then we'll progress to next part. Tomorrow itself, comparison of sociology with other disciplines. Okay, this is what we are going to do. Tomorrow is Friday, right? Last working day. One part would be over. Yeah. Monday, unit 1 would be over. Okay. Chalo. Okay. Yes, Kirti. Modernity is not defined only by these markers of modernity. Okay. Once we start believing these are the only markers of modernity, nothing else can be marker of modernity, then we are highly colonized, because these ideas of modernity developed in Europe, the same Europe thinking in a similar fashion. So let us not think like this. So it is a trap. So don't fall for this trap that being modern means being Western. It is not like that. If I, for a second, like for example, yoga. If I treat all the problems with yoga and Ayurveda, and if I do not go for allopathy is वो होता है ना गोली वाला allopathy, है ना? So if I go with homeopathy or Ayush, Ayurveda, Unani, and not go with allopathy, that means I am backward, not modern. If I believe in traditional forms of knowledge, our own medicine, our own herbs, I am not modern. Who decide that whether the अच्छा शशांक वो भी उस पे भी आता हूँ मैं. श्रावंती जी. Commercial revolution. Sir, how many days you will continue this? अच्छा ये this lecture. Okay. Shravanti. No. This is not YouTube wala lectures. No. This is the last day for YouTube wala lectures. On YouTube we are streaming to have demo type. Okay. This is not YouTube series. No, please don't confuse it with YouTube series. यार ऐसे बेइज्जती मत करना. ठीक है. This is the official type जो classroom lecture होता है ना. Basically, I am promoting more offline education these days. Okay. Because I believe online education was only a solution to a problem called as lockdown. Now lockdown is over. No point in following solution anymore. Okay. So it's basically a attempt to promote offline education. Okay. When will the handouts be uploaded for today's? Handouts for today's class would be given tomorrow, and therefore it would be uploaded tomorrow only. Shashank, who decide that whether territory is online education is modern? Okay. Who decide that whether territory is to be nation or state? No. See, Shashank, territory means state. Nation does not have state. See, there was a point of time when Pakistan was located in two places. East Pakistan, West Pakistan. It was Pakistan. But it was believed there is one nation, two states. All of us are Pakistani, but separated by territories. One nation, two states. समझ गए? Why did I say two states? Because two different territories are there. So therefore, state means the idea of territory. And when you have different territory, you have different administrative machinery also. That area would be ruled by or governed by some other person. This area would be governed by some other person. You can't expect West Pakistan's man to govern East Pakistan. इतना दूर है वो कहाँ जाएगा बार बार. Okay. Yes, nation is abstract. Very nice. And state is concrete. Very nice. Nation is about we feeling. Okay. This we feeling is something that go beyond territories, like music. Although I'm Indian, but I love Pakistani Coke music, Coke studio music. So music, or the people who like such kind of music, forms a nation of their own type without having such territory. So lovers of Pakistani Coke studio do not have territory. We have sentiments that all of us love Pakistani Coke studio music. Okay, does not mean that we are anti-national. Okay, we have allegiance to our nation. Just that we like their music does not mean that we hate our music. Okay. So nation is abstract, state is concrete. So this is all for today's class. Can state be without nation? Yes, very nice question. Something which I explained to you also. We have stateless nations. Balochistan is a stateless nation. Kurdistan is a stateless nation. Khalistan is a stateless nation. All of them are nations without having their own territories or administrative machinery. This is what they are fighting for. Let us see, will they win this war or not? Okay, thank you for today. I'll see you tomorrow.
India, nation state.
Yeah.
How it is different from
Very nice. It's a very difficult proposition basically. When we say India is a nation, it is believed we are nation. Unfortunately, the idea of nation is coming